Hello children, welcome back to your English class. As I told you that we are left with one poem from this year's syllabus. The poem is titled No Men Are Foreign. This is written by a writer called James Kirkup. So before we start looking at the title or what is there inside the poem, let's take a quick look at who this James Kirkup is. So James Kirkup was born in England in the year 1918 on April the 23rd. He is named James Kirkup, but his birth name was James Harold Kirkup. He was also known as James Falconer Kirkup. So the poem titled No Men Are Foreign was written in the year 1966. Though he started writing at an earlier stage in his life, this poem is published to be his first poem in his collections. So as I told you, he was born in the year 1918. He passed away in the year 2009 on 10th May. He lived up to the age of 91 years. And we see him as a poet through this poem, but he is also established as a journalist, a fiction writer and a poet. So his major works were poetry, fiction and journalism. So James Kirkup, who has given us this poem, is an internationally acclaimed poet. So let's take a look at the title, No Men Are Foreign. So no men means nobody. No men here means it's not just based on a gender, man or men. It means nobody is foreign. No men are foreign. Foreign means alien, external, away from us, or which doesn't belong to our category. So here the poet says, no men are foreign. Nobody is different. People may look different. They may have different civilization, different cultures. They may look different. But ultimately everyone is a human being. That's the strongest message which the poet conveys through this poem. Let's take a look at the poem. There are 5 stanzas totally in this poem. Each stanza comprises of 4 lines. As I read the poem, we'll also look at the vocabulary of every stanza, and towards the end of the poem, we'll also look at the poetic devices in this poem. Let's begin. Remember, no men are strange, no country is foreign. Beneath all uniforms, a single body breathes. Like ours, the land our brothers walk upon is earth like this in which we shall lie. So the first line of the poem tells us to remember something. It is not something that we not know. We just have to remember, recall. What do we have to recall? No men are strange. All the people living on this earth are not strange to us. They may come from different areas of this earth, but they are not aliens. They are all human beings. So he says all humans are same. No country is foreign. Foreign means which is external. All the countries lay on this earth. So what he says, every human being is just a human being, not an alien. Every country is not foreign. Every country belongs to the earth. We are all part of this one planet which is called earth. Beneath all uniforms. So when do we talk about a uniform? Uniform is generally to represent a person who belongs to a certain army or military. Now every country has an army to protect the countries. But what happens? The army, even though we call it an army comprises of people. People are human beings. What do all human beings have? We have heart, soul and mind. Every human body requires food, air, sunlight. We stay on land. We need water to drink. We survive on sunlight. We survive on food. Is it different from country to country, from house to house? No. Every body requires the same thing. We are all made of blood, bone and flesh. An Indian is not made different to a Pakistani or to another country or to the other country. But we are all made of flesh, bone and blood. That's what the poet says here. We may come from different walks of life, but we have to remember that we are not aliens. The countries are not foreign. He believes that the earth should be one, every human being is same. That's why he says, inside every uniform. See, I have mentioned, beneath means under. Under the uniform, inside the uniform, there is a human being. What does the human being does? A single body breathes. Inside every uniform is a single person who is alive. Alive in the sense not just breathing. Alive in the sense having emotions, having bonding with people, with family members, with friends. We all do it, right? So, the poet says, inside every uniform, inside the heart of every army person lives a normal human being. A single body breathes like ours. We are not in the army, but don't we breathe? Are we not humans? So every word, every sentence, every line in this poem is stressed by the poet that we are all humans who are alike. The land our brothers walk upon is earth like this. So when we say brothers here, brother means the people who are living along with us on this earth. Fellow human beings who live on this earth. So he says the land is the same place where everybody walks. It is not that the place where I walk is different, where you walk is different. Practically if we talk, it can be a solid road, it can be a tar road, it can be a concrete road or a mud road. But what he says, it is all the same earth where our fellow brothers walk upon, in which we all shall lie. Note the last phrase of the first stanza, children. We all shall lie. Lie means to sleep. But here when we sleep in the earth, it means it's a permanent sleep. So the poet beautifully says that the land which belongs to every human being is the earth where a human being shall lie permanently after his death. So from the time you are born on this earth till you are absorbed by the earth, the poet says humans should be treated equally as the land belongs to everyone as equally as the sun and light belongs to each and every human in this world. They too, aware of sun, air and water, are fed by peaceful harvests, by war's long winter starved. Their hands are ours and their lines we read a labor, not different from our own. They, so the first word of the second stanza, they tells us that we are talking about people who may come from a different country. That's what we say. They is the opposite part of the army. They too aware of sun, air and water. Everybody knows of this sun, air and water. Is it different in any place? Just because of the rotation and revolution of earth, we experience different climates, seasons, day and night in a day or a year to come. But does it mean that it is different in different places? Because we have clock settings, we may call that it is night in India and morning in the US. It is only for recognizing the time cycle in different places. But the sun is same, the air is same, water is also same. So what he says, every person, whether in this side of the army or in the opposite side of the army, must be aware, is actually aware of the natural bountiful resources, are fed by peaceful harvests. So here when we talk about peaceful harvest, we are talking about the food that is produced during non-war period. So peaceful means war-free, when the war is not happening. So what happens when the war is not happening? The produce, the agricultural produce also comes in abundance. Everybody is full to their stomach. But he contradicts it in the next phrase. Are fed by peaceful harvests, by war's long winter starved. So what happens during war? During the war, many lives are lost because of the attack from one army to the other army. One or the other life is lost. But what happens during the war period? The production of food also gets affected. So the life is lost not only on account of war, on account of starvation because of scarcity of food. That's why I have mentioned here, war's long winter starve means without food during the war, because food is not produced or whatever food is remaining is not reached to the people on time. Their hands are ours, and in their lives we read a labor not different from our own. So what does he say? The labor of hard work. Labor itself is hard work. So what happens when you work hard? Your hands become rough, your lines become thick, your wrinkles are thicker. That's why your rough wrinkles show that your hard work and my hard work, that is the hard work of every human being, is same. When a person works hard, they become strong, their hands become rough and the lines become thick wrinkles. So he says, their hands are just like ours. Whenever I say they, them or their, the poet is referring to the people from the other countries which are not foreign. A labor not different from our own. So when you look at the hands of people from any army, and people who are under the uniform, all have worked hard. But why all this hard work? If the earth is one, if every country is one, then why the fight from one country to the other? Why should the army fight with each other? Why should men die because of this war? Remember, they have eyes like ours that wake or sleep, and strength that can be won by love. In every land is common life that all can recognize and understand. Once again, he beautifully compares the similarity between people from every place. Like I told you in the beginning, we all are made up of flesh, blood and bone. So the poet says they also have eyes just like we have, and their eyes also sleep and wake up like we all do, and they all have strength like we have. Instead of winning the strength of a country by the other country by means of war, that strength of love and confidence can be won just by love. Like I told you, they, them and their is mentioned to be the people belonging elsewhere. Not about the country which he is talking, but about the country or the place to whichever they belong. So, they also have eyes and ears which sleep and wake up, and they also have strength which can be won by love, not by war. In every land is common. See, what is common in every land? Life. So life is common in every land. It is not just the human beings who are being alive. It is every living organism, all living things which are same throughout the world. We may find some species of animal in one part purely depending on the climatic conditions and tropical availability. But life is same. The value of a life is same in whichever land we go. In every land is common life that all can recognize and understand. So what the poet says, if we are able to recognize, if we are able to know and identify the emotions behind every human being, behind every life, there will be no need of war. Have you ever imagined people on the border who are standing on either side of the border are all human beings, the fighters between two governments of two different countries. But who is affected? The country on the whole is affected because of war. People who fight on the war front, those who lose their lives or lose their health because of getting affected during the war, the entire family gets affected. That's what the poet beautifully conveys in a single line. They all can, that all can recognize and understand. If everybody understands and knows and identifies the beautiful emotions of human kindness, the war will not be needed anymore. So we will stop with the 3 stanzas for today. And as I told you, we will also look at the poetic devices mentioned here for the first 3 stanzas. If you take a look at the rhyming scheme of this poem, I observed while reading the stanzas that every line next to the other one doesn't have any rhyming word. So because we don't find any rhyming words towards the end of the lines, we call it as a free verse poem. So the poet has chosen free verse of writing this poem. And then we have alliterations. If you remember, alliterations are those words in one line of a poem which may come subsequently to one or the other word having similar beginning consonant sounds. For example, if you look at the second line of the first stanza, beneath all uniforms, a single body breathes. So as I told you, the poetic devices we are talking about here is alliteration. The first alliteration mentioned here is body breathes. Beneath all uniforms, a single body breathes. Looking at the second stanza, we don't find any alliteration here. Take a look at the third stanza now. Remember they have eyes like ours that wake or sleep and strength that can be one. So we have sleep and strength, which is taken up in a single line. Sleep and strength are the two words which can be tagged under alliteration. And if we look at the repetition is another device, poetic device. So repetition is a device which tells us about the words that are repeated again and again in the poetry to emphasize a strong particular message. So here if we look at the three stanzas, we will see that remember is the word which he has used two times. Once in the beginning of the poem and once in the beginning of the third stanza. So we have alliteration and repetition, whereas the poetic scheme, the rhyming scheme is missing. That's why we said that the poet has written the poem in free verse. That's all for now. The remaining poetic devices we'll do after we complete the fourth and fifth stanza. Fourth and fifth stanza go in together. So I wish to do it together and we'll take it up in the next class. Thank you, children.